What's goody to any and everybody who may be listening? Okay. Now, my heart is most definitely opening. I am healing to a degree of which I haven't healed in a long time, bitch. Okay, this is motherfucking Yeshua. And what you know about Yeshua is a lie, all lies, okay? I'm not gonna get into those ways, but bitch, know that I'm a motherfucking rebel and the most hated because I'm me, bitch, and my heart done been closed since y'all motherfuckers had the nerve to crucify me upon that cross with Mary helping the motherfuckers capture me. But do know that I am a rebel, and I've always been a rebel against the Matrix, against systems. Okay. Now, it's some these artists, these celebrities are coming to the forefront. There are a lot of spirits that are around me right now as it pertains to celebrities, particularly music. I'm going to be getting on them next, within the next few messages, but it's important for me to talk about this, something that happened during my teenage years regarding that old mammy who shouldn't have had no churn, Sharita, and a boyfriend of hers named Lo. Now, I don't know why RZA of the Wu-Tang Clan is coming up, but there is something about RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan that is starting to come into my consciousness. Now, I'm feeling a pull towards him. I am feeling some sort of heart connection, but what is that? Why am I feeling that? Because it's not like he's deceased. That's strange because I would have expected the deceased to be near me like that, but this individual is in my energy for some reason. And we got to get to the bottom of it, okay? So, let's talk about this incident that occurred when I was a teenager through an individual by the name of Lo. That was his nickname. His name was Lo. He was from New York City. Now, at the time when Sharita, that old mammy, met Lo, we were living in Cinnamon Ridge. And you know, the bitch kept strangers around her churn. She knew men for 1 or 2 days and brought them around her churn. That was like clockwork. She did it like clockwork. Okay, and the bitch was a whore. Okay, so this dude name was Lo, and I gotta tell you how she met the dude. Let me tell you, you couldn't trust the bitch for nothing because there was a lady by the name of Keisha that stayed up the street. And Sharita had you know, she, like, I was a child. I was about what, maybe, how old was I here? About 14 or 15. In Cinnamon Ridge, meeting that girl Keisha and seeing her talk to Keisha. And Keisha had introduced us to her man. Next thing you know, Sharita had the man down the house, feeding the man and everything. Like, baby, what did she do to that man? How did she get that man? Okay, now, one thing about it is that back in them days, Sharita was cute. Okay, now she was cute. Sharita was real cute back in the day. But, bitch, it was that karma. She lost every single bit of that beauty. She lost them teeth. Bitch, she got old and saggy. Because before you could have said that she looked younger than her age. No, ma'am, not after that karma got to catching up with her. That beauty got lost in the midst. Okay? ever. I don't know how to, and I felt a little bad that her beauty was fading because I was seeing the beauty fade from her. And then she would have the nerve to put aluminum foil in her mouth to hide them teeth being missing. And in pictures, she would smile in a certain way so that you couldn't see the teeth and the foil and all this. That child, it was a mess. But I gotta tell you that was that karma, cause that bitch is evil. And now that I'm seeing her in her truest form, that bitch is evil. But I gotta tell you that I did have love for that lady. Especially as I got older and all that MK Ultra faded. All of that mind control, like the experiments, what I went through being molested by my own motherfucking uncles and daddy and white men. After all that faded and, the memories faded, I started to love the lady. And so let's get to the incident in question. Now, she stole that girl, man. I gotta tell you, here we go with Sharita and these men and these arguments. This bitch could not argue. She had to be arguing. There had to be drama surrounding her and her men in front of her chair. Domestic violence. Okay, now this man was violent. I gotta tell you how violent he was. And I'm telling you, this was some witchcraft. Whatever Sharita had done with this man to get this man, it was witchcraft. Okay? She fed him something, or she did something that made this man leave his girlfriend at that time and come to her. Now, by this time we had moved, okay, but again, this man was abusive, stayed up yelling, and she even let him, hit me or hit us and shit, and didn't even know the man. She was with the man for a total of 10 months, 10 or 11 months. She wasn't even with the man that long, while Po Boy was locked up. So anyway, by this time we had moved to a new neighborhood by the name of Sandy Creek over in North Raleigh. And Lo used to play that RZA all the time. Now I gotta say, I loves RZA. So I don't know what this is that's coming up about RZA, but I don't want to be disappointed in RZA. But I feel like I'm gonna be disappointed. Okay, because it's something surrounding the music industry and these motherfucking rappers. Okay. So Lo used to play that RZA album, Bobby Digital. Okay? Bobby Digital. Now that's a banger. And I'm gonna have to go on back and listen to it to see if I can get some clues up out of it. But in stereo, that album. So, like, from front to back, and I used to be in that car with Lo, like, no shade, I liked Lo to a certain degree. Like, he was cooler than Po Boy to a certain degree, but he was abusive, and, like, in that attitude, and it was explosive. Now, Lo, I feel Lo around me now, because I just now remember that he was deceased, and I do feel Lo's presence. Okay? I don't know if I'm going to have to tell that motherfucker to get away from me, though. But let's talk about what happened. Now, oh my God, out of nowhere. So, first of all, I gotta tell you this. This is like a preliminary where I went in there and got a cigarette. Now, everybody knew I smoked cigarettes at this time. I was smoking cigarettes at this time. And I went in there and I think I got a cigarette out the pack. It was one cigarette or something. The last cigarette. This individual Lo flipped the fuck out, like in a way that I had never seen nobody flip out before. And it was all over a motherfucking cigarette where he had the money to go to the store to get another pack of cigarettes. Just go to the store. See, this is what I'm talking about. That unhealed trauma that is within these bodies. That dark shit, that dark goo, which is invisible because it's not inside of the physical body, it's inside of the etheric body, it's inside of the mental body, it's inside of the emotional body. So it's not visible. You can't see it with the eyes unless you are trained to see it. Someone like me who is a matrix breaker can see it. Okay? But that's what I'm talking about. This unhinged shit, wild, animalistic that y'all have been taught by this matrix, these archons, this brotherhood, these satanic forces in general. Now why would he have done that? But I gotta tell you, it gets worse. Now, this was a separate day when this happened, but one morning, me and the twins woke up to them in that room arguing. Oh my God, what was this argument about? This was every day. Now, this was massive energy harvesting. Massive. Okay? They stayed up in that room arguing every day about something or the other. And Sharita loved it. Okay? So, all of a sudden, we heard her screaming. He got a gun! You know what she did. And didn't have a conscience about it, because I'm going to tell you what she did afterwards. But she left this man had a gun, pulled the gun out, held us up in that house, hostages, her children now. And this was a man that she only knew for about 10 months at that time. She left the house with us in there with this man in that house. Now, because I feel like a lot of my light sparks have been caught up within this time frame. Let's go ahead and call these light sparks back. Let's go ahead and call my soul back. That was scary. For us to be locked up in that room. It ain't like he could have got up in that motherfucking room. He got a gun. He could have just shot the door handle off. Or better yet, the bitch was big, so he could have just broke the door down. She left us in that room with him in that house with that gun and him holding us hostage to run to the neighbor's house. So she saved herself. She won't even think about her children when she left us in there with that raging lunatic with that gun. Okay. So I don't know how long we was up in that room. Probably it felt like an hour. It could have been 30, 45 hour minutes with this man raging. And then the police coming. Like I'm telling you, it was about 50, 60, 70, 80 police. Trying to get him to surrender. And I forgot how long it took him to surrender. But he did eventually go ahead and surrender. So listen, we gotta go ahead and call our light sparks back from this, because this was traumatic. And again, Sharita ain't have no business having no chair, because she didn't know what she was doing. Just like a lot of these motherfucking women. And look, it's not even about the women. It's about everybody. Men, women, all of them babies. Okay, and that's not healing. They still children. I decree and declare any of my light sparks, all of my energy, any soul fragments that got lost within this time period of Sharita being with Lo are released, freed, and brought on back home to the mother, the father, and the child. I missed you, and I couldn't stand them singing them arguing like that every day. But Sharita loved it. She lived for it. And bringing them strangers around her children. I decree and declare that any and all of my light sparks and soul fragments, all my energy that got lost during that hostage situation are released, freed, and brought on back home to the mother, the father, and the child, which is none other than you already know myself. Okay. I decree and declare that any and all of my soul fragments that got caught up within the midst of Lo himself, because he was an abusive motherfucker. Even though he was cool at times, he was an abusive motherfucker, and I could barely stand him. Okay. He did a little better at po' boy than bonding, but I could still barely stand him. Be released, freed. All of my light sparks and all of my soul energy that got caught up, all of my fragments that got caught up within Lo are freed, released, and brought on back home to the mother, the father, and the child. Okay. Now, this RZA. Let's talk about RZA again, because here we go with this album. Now, Lo used to bump this album from front to back, and this is one of I gotta say that I love RZA, or I loved him because of that. You know, it was something about that drew me into RZA, even more so than the early Wu-Tang days, because I mean, something about that was with, I don't know, I can't explain it. I ain't even gonna try to right now, but I feel like I'm getting another huge download with this one. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and call my light sparks back from RZA, because I feel like he got some stored or stashed somewhere. Okay. I decree and declare that any and all of my light sparks and soul fragments that have been caught up within RZA. Okay. Oh, and I'm starting to remember something too, but I'm gonna come back with that, because I'm starting to remember something from the early career too. I am starting to remember that, when them experiments was going on. RZA, I hope I ain't gotta be disappointed in you, RZA. Cause you have presented yourself to be upstanding. But I'm hearing cloaking too. I'm hearing cloak. So I'm just gonna come back with that, cause it ain't formed yet. I'm gonna let that form. But God, any and all of my light sparks that got caught up within RZA himself, his career, any of that music, any of the money he made, be brought on back home to the mother, the father, and the child. I decree and declare any awards that he has won, any accolades, all of that, any of my light sparks and soul fragments that got caught up within the midst of any of that, be released, are released, freed, and brought on back home to the mother, the father, and the child. Now, I ain't gonna mention Wu yet, but see, there's still that same type of love for Wu. Okay? I'm not gonna mention them yet. I'm gonna let this build, and I will be back. Thank you. Bye-bye.